Sup flappers, welcome to another video. So today we want to talk a little bit about Genshin content creation. Now I know this isn't something I usually touch on, but in light of recent events, I do think that it's about time somebody starts talking about this, or at least sharing the content creator side of things. And I do think that this could make for an interesting discussion, as well as open up or have other content creators also step up and talk about this, because it's much easier for you, the viewer, to understand what's going through our minds if we just tell you guys. All right, so with that said, please, if you guys haven't subscribed yet, consider subscribing. I am trying my best to hit 50,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I know it's quite a bit of ways, and I'll have to break every single record I have on my channel to obtain it, but you know, worth a shot. All right, so let's start the video. As you guys know, Genshin Impact isn't a game that's well known for its replayability or its lengthy gaming sessions, right? The more negative people out there who are watching this right now probably thinks that content creators don't deserve the attention, money, and or whatever you think that we get. But at the end of the day, we are people too, right? We play this game mostly because we enjoy it. I can't speak for everybody, but the reason why most of us are still doing this is either that we really believe in the longevity of this game, as well as it pays really well. All right, I told you this is gonna be the truth. This is gonna be the reality of what it is. Genshin pays very well, and it's mostly not just the money you get from playing Genshin. The viewership that people garner can be used or leveraged for sponsorships, right? You say, hey, I have the attention of this many people, therefore I can demand this price. So it's not something that you can just like, oh, go try something else, give this up. And remember, people, I'm talking from a more general perspective. I don't pull anywhere near the numbers required to make Genshin Impact content creation a sustainable living. Like I keep saying, I do this as a hobby, so I'm just speaking in the general sense. And yes, I have received offers to do sponsorships even at my size, so you guys can imagine how some of the bigger creators are benefiting from just continuously pumping out Genshin content. But seeing some of the comments, not only on my channel but others' channels as well, really paints how toxic and distant some people can be when it comes to this topic. So today I want to take you behind the scenes and discuss some of the things about Genshin content creation. Now, while most would know that Genshin is a game that you play sparingly for the most part, you don't usually know how the creative process works for most content creators, right? This video will touch on some things other content creators have said, as well as go over some responses I have seen people mention. First and foremost, we have to discuss the types of content that currently exists for Genshin. Now, of course, I'm not going to touch on every single genre, but just some of the bigger ones and categorize them so you guys understand. Now, first, we got the challenge-based or entertainment content, the stuff you see with 4 Barbaras versus Oceanid, 4 Ambers versus Pyrohypostasis, stuff like that. Things that just make the game a lot more challenging and put a little twist to it. Those type of content usually do really well, as it's something that you get to see the content creators suffer through them, right? There's also the guide content creators who only focuses on min-max guides and how to be more efficient in the game of Genshin Impact. They're also really popular because who doesn't want to make sure that every minute, every second of their time and every primo gem goes to the right place. Of course, there are the collab and reaction channels that does more community driven stuff, as well as reacting to all Genshin news and whatnot. There's the personality channels where people watch for the personality of the content creator and what they specifically have to say about the current state of the game. We got the meme channels as well, of course, and who can forget the lore and discussion channels on top of that. Now, do remember, content creators can fit more than one category, but the one thing that all of these types of content share is that they have to be Genshin related, of course, right? You don't need me to spell it out for you with regards to how barren and dry Genshin can get sometimes. New content doesn't really mean new content for the case of Genshin. Content creation has to evolve with the game state and the maturity of the community which plays it. What I mean is, remember when MTash came out with how to 20x your damage video teaching people how to level talents and artifacts? Yeah, that's something which can never exist in the current Genshin space. The game has progressed and stagnated to the point where newer players can catch up in a couple of weeks while old players are stuck at endgame. The biggest thing Genshin content creators feel pressured with can be summed up essentially into one word, and that is value, right? How do I provide value to the content that I'm making? And I think this is something most people would not understand, because it's really something that's different for every single person. For you who is watching this video right now, you probably think like, wow, this is such a waste of my time. I don't think there's any value in this. But for another person who's watching this particular video might be like, wow, that's very valuable information. I really feel like I'm getting a lot out of this video. And it's the same thing from the creator's perspective. While the exchange, oftentimes you see it as we make a video or we start a live stream or we do something that provides something for you in exchange for your time, money, whatever, right? But the person creating this product has to truly believe in it, right? It just only makes sense. If you go away and do something that you don't enjoy just for the sake of doing it, and you do it every single day, does that not start to wear down on you? I mean, how would that differ from a 9-to-5 job in an office building somewhere, which, you know, you can grind the rest of your life away and retire at 65 to collect your pension until you eventually get lowered 7 feet into the ground? The reason most of these people are doing this is because of the creative freedom that is bestowed upon them, and them being in charge of what they want to make, how they want to make it, when they want to make it. But it's not turning out to be that way now, is it? I can guarantee you right now there is at least a handful of Genshin content creators who's doing this, but they hate it. They hate every minute of it, and they can't wait for a new game to come out that replaces this game. And you might sit there and think, well, why don't they just move on? So milking the same content over and over again to get clicks, but it feels lifeless and devoid of passion. That is the reality some of these content creators are living through every single day, people. Breaking free and experimenting with other games risks losing the dedicated Genshin audience. Faking interest and diving into other content genres torments the creators because it's not what they want to do. All the while, the community that says we watch you for you stops showing up the second you upload something that's not Genshin. Now, that last one is not necessarily the community's fault, as it is likely YouTube's as well. You see, while the algorithm has brought us together, it can also take us apart. Depending on your interest, the algorithm will serve you videos it thinks you may be interested in. This is usually filtered through content material and not content ID, which means it's not about who made the video, but rather what the video is about. This is also good and bad, because that's how you discovered some of these amazing content creators that you enjoy watching, because YouTube thought, hey, you're into Genshin, right? This person is also making great Genshin content that all these other people are enjoying, so why don't you check it out? But now, on the other end of it, YouTube will say, hey, you're still interested about this, right? So why don't you take a look at these people? While the content creator that you've been following for the longest time is experimenting with something else, YouTube deems it not interesting for you. Now, of course, there are outliers, but at the end of the day, most of the time, your favorite creator tries something different, you won't even get the notification for it. So now I've only covered the YouTube side of things, but we can touch on the streamers too, because this is where things can get really hellish, because depending on how long you stream Genshin for on a daily basis, you can either suffer slightly or suffer full time. The reality is, people don't usually watch Genshin to see the streamers kill hilichurls and collect berries. They're usually watching for the person. People want to see Enviosity collect berries instead of some random dude. We can all agree on that, yes? So for most streamers, you end up in this cycle where, well, you play Genshin for a couple of hours, do everything you can, and then you're stuck with just chatting and Genshin in the background. Well, you know, at least Genshin has good OSTs, right? If you guys look at Genshin right now, it's not doing too well when it comes to a game that people live stream. The viewership is severely down, and when some of the bigger streamers aren't streaming the game, holy smokes, it can drop by 20 20%. And when one person can control 20% of the viewership, it says something about the content of the game versus the value of said creator. So to tie it all together, the current state of content creation, while not easy, is still, of course, very doable. Like I mentioned previously, there's so many genres for people to experiment with, and new Genshin creators are coming up all the time. And by the way, check out the Flow Cat. He's an up-and-coming Genshin creator who's very chilled, down to earth, and just want to have a good time with his viewers, right? So people understand that everybody has a different threshold for value. Everybody see things differently. While you may think, wow, I wish this content creator would just continue making like 4 Barbara versus Oceanid video or stuff like that, the content creator themselves may have want to move on from this already, right? They're doing it for 3, 4, 5, 6 months in a row. While yes, it gets the money, but it no longer brings them satisfaction. This is the thing that I hope you can get out of this video, is that oftentimes monetary gains or big numbers does not equal to value. And while originally, when they didn't have the audience, getting these big views gave them a hit of dopamine or made them feel good, nowadays it's outshadowed by the fact that they're miserable while creating this. They've lost the original spark that goes into the process of creating this type of content. Now, at the end, I want to reiterate this thing once again. We content creators are people too. Our hearts are beating the same way yours does. We sleep, we eat shit, we do everything just like you do. It's just more people are aware of us doing it. So please look into your humanity and try to understand when content creators need to take a break, when content creators need to try something different. Do your best to support them. And this is by no means my announcement to try out different games or experimenting with different content. I'm feeling fine. It's just for some of the bigger creators who rely on this to support their families, to make a living, they need to hear it and see it from you guys more than you think. So people, I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you guys can now go to your favorite Genshin creator and tell them we are here for you no matter what. I'll do my best to tune in even if you don't make Genshin content. Now, don't lie to them, but if you really do mean it, let them know, all right? And this can definitely help persuade some of these people to make content that they're more comfortable with. With that said, people, urge you all to stay safe, subscribe, help me get to that 50K, and I'll see you guys next time. Until then, peace.